Well, what's up there, my friends, and welcome back to Carpo's channel. It's another beautiful day here in the Portland area. Well, it was like 67, 68 today. To me, that's perfect. That's a warm day in October. And, I got home from work a little earlier than usual, and I've been doing some organizing and thinking, and I thought, I should make a YouTube video because it's been a couple days. Actually, at least once every day I think to make a video or do make a video, and then often it just gets lost in the jumble of videos on my phone. But regardless of the topic I discuss, they often have to do with self or hopefully I try to look at positivity, positive growth of the self. I've learned so much in my own life about how to lead a better and happier life that I like to share that, but I don't have so much hubris and arrogance that I think that that's going to work for everyone. And I also realize that a lot of my subscribers are here for, let's just say, more positive attributes and aspects, which I actually support that. Like, I'm not a guy who wants to talk about negative shit, nor do I want to expose crappy companies or people, specific YouTube people, let's say. And there are plenty of them. I bite my tongue quite often about certain YouTubers, certain celebrities, certain politicians, whoever it might be, because I know that whenever I have something to say about somebody, like I don't, for example, let's take the most extreme example would be Trump back in the day. I understand the why Trump was, elected, and I understand why people had this attitude of, well, it's better than the same old BS. But I don't have to like him, right? Now the same thing happens with and don't click off just because I said Trump. The same thing I found happens with certain people, like Elon Musk is a great example. I can't stand the guy. I really think that, sure, he's a genius, he's smart, he's got a high IQ. That's great. It means really nothing to me as far as is it a good idea. I always use the Oppenheimer example. Oppenheimer was a genius too, and then he created the bomb, and the quote that he said is, "I am what is it? I am destroyer of worlds." It was an old Hindu text or something. Something destroyer of worlds, because he realized what he'd created. So the smartest people do the dumbest things. But that, as a society, that reflects on all of us when we make stupid decisions or overreact about certain things. And what I wanted to talk about here was PayPal, because I don't often talk about specific companies, but I have a huge issue with them. I think that they are a horrible company, and I haven't used them in years, and only people who have probably been subscribed to me for, let's say, more than 6 years will know why, if you even remember, which I don't expect anyone to. But here's the story. PayPal screwed me over when I was a Kratom. I've been a Kratom vendor for 7 years now, and the first 2 years was fine, and then PayPal informed me that you cannot sell Kratom through PayPal, even though they didn't say specifically. They just said, well, you can't sell certain things on here. We don't know why. It's not that it's illegal, but that's our rule. They never even clarified that you can't sell Kratom. But I decided on my website to only accept PayPal orders for the herbs that I sold, other things, mushroom blends, powders, things like that. But for the Kratom, I actually specifically had people write out checks and money orders. Somebody who didn't pay attention to the way I did business and didn't read the thing that I sent about, please don't say Kratom on your order, actually ordered some Kratom and said Kratom in the description on PayPal. This was in 2016, I think. So PayPal, probably because of that or their suspicion, said, we are terminating your account for life. And no recourse. There was nothing I could say. I couldn't do anything about it. I tried to email them. They said, nope, 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 nope. But it wasn't just that they terminated my account. It's that at the time I was doing all my business out of PayPal, and I had about $3,600 in there. So, on the higher end, close to $4,000 in PayPal. Not only did they terminate my account, but they held my funds for 6 months. 6 months before I could get it out. It was a nightmare. And, I just lived through it. You do what you got to do. You just wait and hope you'll get it. I was one of the lucky ones because I actually got my money back. And a lot of folks who use PayPal just for friends and family or buying a few things on eBay don't realize that they are so crooked and corrupt, and that the reason they hold any funds for 6 months, anything you do that they think you broke policy, they'll hold your funds because then they can collect the interest on it because your money's being reinvested. So for 6 months they were making money off of my money, and I didn't have any money to invest in my company. I lost a lot during that time because of them, but I let it go and moved on. I just stopped using PayPal. Even though there are certain instances where you're forced to use PayPal. So I have another account, somebody else's account that I use when I need to buy something, and I'll just pay them for it, right? So, moving on. I let it go. I moved on to the modern day where I saw something in the media the other day that I honestly thought that it was clickbait. I thought that there's no way this could be true, because usually when you hear something about banning of free speech or the whole woke culture argument, you find out that it's overreaction. But in this case, I dug a little deeper and found out that this is absolutely true. So PayPal sent out a notice for their change of service, terms of service change, right? And they do this on a regular basis. Most companies will change their policies. But somebody noticed that in there, one of the new policies said that PayPal was now allowed to charge... Okay, they already have fines and systems in place where they can charge you if you break their rules. But the one thing that caught people's eye was that they can now fine you for misinformation, which meaning even if you say collect donations through your website, let's say through PayPal, and they don't agree with what you say, they think it's misinformation. That's the big question that people need to really ask themselves. Even if they agree and they say, well, this is good, it's going to get rid of these liars and conspiracy theorists. Dude, I know there's a lot of them out there, but a lot of people who are speaking the truth as well, who's just been obscured for too long. I have a very middle ground on this issue because a lot of the things people are claiming probably are true and a lot probably aren't. But is it PayPal as a company's job to find someone for that? When I say, well, how much were they, if you were to ask, well, how much are they going to fine people? I want you to take a guess first. How much do you think PayPal would fine someone for, quote, misinformation that they deemed to be misinformation? It's $2,500 fucking dollars. $2,500 per offense. So if they went back and your account, say, had 10, 20 grand in it, and they said, oh, shit, you have 8 offenses through history. Boom. There's your 20 grand. Gone. And I know that some people out there will say this is a good thing. I don't know what kind of people. Probably the folks who haven't thought this through. But I really think that it's, this is akin to what's going on in China, where language is coerced and basically you can say what you want in certain instances. However, your social credit score will drop, and this is a well-known phenomenon. You can jaywalk over there or even buy too much alcohol and your credit score goes down, your social score. But in the US, it's the same exact thing. It's just people are quieter about that. In other words, there are many lists that people go on. So if you use PayPal for something and they find out that they think that you've broken some rule, well, all they have to do is, let their buddies know. The thing is, people have asked me, well, they say you can't take PayPal anymore for Kratom. Well, you should get Venmo. Venmo is owned by PayPal. The thing people don't realize is a lot of these companies are owned by the big parent companies. Even when you think you have options, you think you have a variety, you can't. With Kratom, for example, on a side note, credit card companies got together and debit, cards like Visa and MasterCard, they would not allow you as a vendor to sell Kratom with a card. Therefore, people would start using offshore processors, which are people who basically shady businesses that are willing to take you, but they're willing to take you as a, quote, high risk client, a high risk customer, meaning that you might pay 2 or 3% per transaction if you have a legitimate business, but if you're selling something that they don't like, even though it's legal, Kratom is 100% legal. They decided, since, well, we can't stop it, we can't ban it in the US, so all we're going to do is we're going to convince the credit card companies, the debit, the banks to not work with people. Same thing with cannabis. Legal cannabis businesses have to bring cash to pay their taxes because they can't work with banks. And it's a freaking conundrum of selling herbs that are totally legal, but not being able to do it because big institutions want to make it more difficult, and it's usually government in the way. And with PayPal, it's their choice whether they want to be a channel of value where people can actually use PayPal is a total ripoff already with their fees and the way how much you have to pay to even use it, but you pay for that service. It is what it is. On top of that, if you're getting fined and you're getting charged for your speech, my question is only this: who at PayPal determines what is truth? I want to know which individuals at PayPal determine what are facts and what's fiction, and what is, quote, misinformation. Because I know a lot of folks out there have bought into this take the red pill, blue pill crap. I was thinking, take the purple pill, somewhere in between, right? But it's actually like take the green pill, like just start looking at things for what they are. And I grew up in the 80s and the 90s. I watched this transition from a society that generally uses cash and debit cards to moving into mostly debit, a cashless society. And in many of these aspects, you're forced to use credit cards. I think it's very dangerous. I think that, I'm still a supporter of gold, silver, actual even cash dollars if you have to, regardless of the lack of value. If the lights go out and you go to the corner store, I guarantee you they'll trade you groceries for silver if there's no other option for them. And, or even with dollars, more likely than skimming a credit card. But anyway, I feel like I'm, of course, getting off topic. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to finances. I am pretty well read on the subject as far as basic economics. I read most of a book called The Creature from Jekyll Island, which is from G. Edward Griffin, I believe. It's like 1,000 pages. And it talks all about the Federal Reserve and how the system works, which is why people say crypto is the future. I honestly look at everything these days as just kind of, whoa, step back. It's, I don't want to use any of these payment processors. And if you're a consumer, you don't realize how much a merchant has to pay. If you've ever gone to a small store, you might have to pay extra for gum. If you pay 50, it says if you spend less than $5, you have to pay a 50-cent charge for your card. That's because they have to pay. Every time you buy something from a store, they have to pay a fine for you just to use your card, which is why I support cash and why I've always been anti-PayPal. But this time it went too far. To get back to the point, the next day, so after this whole thing happened, they basically reneged on their claim and said it was an accident, that those terms of service weren't meant to be released, that it was a misprint. They actually had the balls to say that it was just, whoops, that just went out on accident, which we all know is BS. These things go through tons of editing and plenty of proofreads before they release this stuff. What happened was, they said that they're going to charge people $2,500 for misinformation, expecting that they would get a bunch of support by someone. I don't know. What, the woke left? Is that where, the idea that, yes, we're going to stop these hate speech people? The truth is, it totally backfired. All of these big bloggers, vloggers, YouTubers, celebrities, they said, fuck PayPal, I'm canceling my PayPal, and you should too. And there were millions of people out there who watched these videos that said, dude, you should delete PayPal because they don't believe in free speech. And I'm one of them, and I totally agree. And I'm really glad that they bit themselves in the ass this time. And I'm just hoping, maybe it's, ignorant for me to even think that people are going to wake up to this reality that if you try to stop free speech in any way, shape, or form, it's going to come back to bite you in the ass. I don't care if you're an individual, a family, a society, a city. If you try to hide people's truth and how people really feel, you're an idiot. You're a fool if you think that you can stop people from speaking. It's like trying to stop a boiling over kettle with your, by putting your hand over the top. No, man, you're going to get burned and the shit's going to boil over anyway. When people have something to say and they feel a certain way, they're going to express it. And it might come out in violence. It might come out in so many different ways, but the fact is, you can't stop it. There seems to be this idea that speech needs to be controlled. And that is where this idea of misinformation being dangerous comes from. And look, I get it. I understand that certain natural products, people decide to, say, Christian Science, where they don't use any modern science or, medicine, but they'll use ancient cures as if, there was some time in history where certain things worked and it stopped when? 100 years ago, 200 years ago? It's dumb. We should all use any of the resources we have in front of us. They might be natural, they might be, some synthetic version of it. I support various pharmaceuticals for a lot of people who need them. I also support certain natural cures when you don't need pharmaceuticals. Well, it's the same way that kind of free speech thing, they're trying to say that people who are, promoting, ancient techniques are providing misinformation. That's a good example because it's not misinformation. It's just different information. It's something else that also works. The same way with people talking about the current event with the pandemic and all the things that have happened. Just because somebody has a scientific discovery that doesn't agree with somebody else's doesn't mean that they are misinformation. It means that both sides need to be analyzed by the people. But if you want to get a fair representation of what's actually going on, you can't get that by just stopping people from speaking certain things. You're relying on other human beings to tell you what's true and what's not. Therefore, society, the whole of society, lives in an echo chamber. So all the bloggers out there who are using PayPal, who end up getting fined and deleted because they just dared to say certain things that PayPal, the scientific organization of PayPal, the truth tellers, the people who really have nothing else other than money on their mind because that's what they do. Who the fuck are they to tell us what misinformation is? And I want to make sure people realize where I'm coming from here. There is dangerous information out there, but it's going to come out anyway. People need to have that available. I don't care how negative it is, how horrible it is. I remember the old days of YouTube, and then there was the Purge. And nowadays, you don't see a lot of hatred about, say, Jews. But if you go on something like Odyssey, all you're going to see is Jew blaming for everything. You're going to have people, racists, haters, people who just want to make noise. And they are free to speak what they want, but people are free not to listen and to use other alternatives. I don't agree with a lot of the things people say. And folks know I'm pretty outgoing and I'm pretty outspoken, and I'll say as much. I don't agree with you and I think you're stupid, or your argument's stupid. We all need to do that, be more honest with ourselves and with others. But just because you think something's true doesn't mean it necessarily is. And even if it is it really worth it to fine someone $2,500 because they disagree? Slippery slope, my friends. And with that, I will end this video because it's already been long. Didn't expect it to be this long, but I guess I got a lot to say about PayPal. It's not just them. Credit card companies are the worst. If you don't have to, and you go to small establishments, pay cash. They're paying like 2 to 3 to 5, even 7% on certain purchases out of all the money they make. So you go to a motel, spend $100, they're getting charged $5-6 for it. And that's not right. I think that people need to realize that paying cash really is king. They've been trying to push us away from cash forever. And it's something that really bothers me, because I realize that once society goes cashless, a lot of problems arise that weren't foreseen. And all you have to do is, I think it was Sweden that's gone cashless, if I'm not mistaken. And there are all kinds of problems have arisen, but that's for another time. It's been a long video, and I'm going to end it there. Peace and love to all of you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the like button and all that stuff. And subscribe if you'd like to. And if you want to support the channel, check me out on Patreon, where there's some extra stuff. And fuck. Have a good night. Peace out.